Welcome to 31 Nights of Horror here on CineQuest. Video on day number 12. We're going to be talking about Return of the Living Dead Part 3.
Love.
After a tragic motorcycle accident kills his friend Julie, teen Kurt Reynolds refuses to accept her death and uses his father's military access to reanimate her with the deadly triaxin gas. But Julie doesn't just come back, she comes back craving human brains. The couple go on a run, encountering a violent gang and the chaos of the undead, while discovering that extreme pain can suppress Julie's hunger. So she transforms herself into a living weapon adorned with spikes, nails, and shards of glass. As the military moves in to capture Julie, Kurt unleashes the zombies in a desperate bid to save her. In a tragic, fiery finale, Kurt and Julie choose to die together in a furnace, proving that love, like horror, can be terrifyingly undying. A mix of zombie gore and teen romance, the punk rock rebellion Return of the Living Dead is a horror with a heart and a bite. Third in the Return of the Living Dead franchise, it is not necessary to have seen the previous two films in order to make sense of this one. Part 1 is more horror comedy, Part 2 is more campy horror, but this film abandons the comedy element for a more dark horror romance.
So I'm going to honestly admit, I wasn't necessarily the biggest fan of this entry. I've been more of a fan of the previous two films, Part 1, Part 2, that had more of a comedic aspect to them. The first time watching this, I wasn't too much of a fan of the tone shift. It was more serious. There wasn't much I don't know if there was much. There really isn't any comedy in this film. It depends on if you have a really, really dark sense of humor, and there's some stuff that you would find funny about the things that happen in this film. I will say that on a rewatch of this film, I have more of appreciation for what this film brings to the franchise. Though it abandons the comedic aspect that I enjoyed of the first two films, I really enjoyed this film. This is probably the third time I've seen this movie. I don't think I paid much attention initially because as I was watching it, there were things in this movie that I didn't quite remember. Of course, I remember the iconic scene where Julie starts pinning herself and putting spikes in her. That way she can dull the hunger with the pain that it causes. And of course, there's the other aspect of the Mexican gang. And then, of course, the aspect of the military and how it delves a little bit more into that part of the story, which we didn't get much in the previous two films. I liked how we saw what the military was doing with the trioxin chemical that brought these people back to life, and exactly kind of what they were, more of hints of what they were trying to use it for, obviously for as a war weapon, kind of certain other aspects that are involved to create this thing, and kind of the very heartlessness and kind of inhumane thing that they're doing, reanimating these bodies and having them go off to war without any sort of real consequence, or even the damage they could cause amongst the citizens of whoever they throw these people in, or these zombies into whatever town they go into. Looking a little deeper, this was directed by Brian Yuzna. I wasn't aware of that previously. That made more sense of why probably I appreciate this film more, because I could see more of his style in this movie. And of course, we'll be talking about another film that he directed called Society. And of course, he had many producer credits in films that I love. Reanimator. He directed Bride of the Reanimator, I believe. And I think Beyond Reanimator, which isn't very good, but still, it's part of the Reanimator franchise. And I like that. And I love Jeffrey Combs. So he was partnered with Stuart Gordon, who was also a director that I love a lot as well. Unfortunately, he passed away. I'm not sure if Brian Yuzna is still alive, but hopefully he is at the time of me recording this. I think some of the highlights of this film are the practical effects. You see those touches that Brian Yuzna brings to the table with the outrageous body horror that he pretty much puts in most of his films. And you can see this with the zombies, that whenever they're the various types of zombies, because not just one type. We've been getting pretty much one type of zombie the previous two films, but in this one, we get introduced to various types and various levels of intellect as well, which was kind of a new thing that they introduced into this franchise. There's that one aspect where Julie has recently passed and Kurt brings her back to life immediately. So she hasn't been dead for too long. So there's a point in time where she's almost adjusting to her disintegration, I guess, and where the hunger starts to come too. And she's trying to figure out ways to deal with that internally. So she figures out a way to kind of subside the hunger temporarily, is to cause herself pain. And of course, again, we get that scene where she is like putting the pins in her, and she gets revealed with all these spikes. And of course, that's the cover that we see. And it's really awesome. That's like a really cool aspect of this movie. And of course, it doesn't last long. She still gets the hunger, and she ends up attacking the Mexican gang, which is also kind of a funny aspect to this film. Whenever one, unfortunately, like tries to take her in to assault her, she rips out his spine and she's carrying around his head, and it's attached to his torso. And then, of course, when he comes to, his spine's like waving around like a snake. Overall, I enjoyed this a lot more than I was anticipating, and have much more of an appreciation for this film now, having watched it a little bit more thoroughly. There is one scene that made me laugh a lot. Is whenever the gang member goes to the trash man guy, the homeless guy, and he says, "Wake up, Gaga," and that was probably one of the dumbest lines in this film, but it made me laugh because it's such a stupid word. And of course, I mean, he's also being racist in the way he's like referring to this person. But yeah, that was just one aspect I thought that was kind of funny, and of course offensive in many ways. Definitely check out Return of the Living Dead 3. It is again I'm much more appreciative of this film now. I'm not saying that necessarily because I found out who directed it. I felt with a bit more of an analytical eye watching this film, there was a lot more aspects of this that I liked than previous watches where I don't think I was paying too much attention to it. And of course, my tastes have changed over the years, and I appreciate this entry in this franchise. And it's not necessarily, it's not necessary to watch any of the other films previous to this one. So that's also a good thing. And you don't have to watch any of the other films. You don't have to watch part 1 and watch part 2 and vice versa. But they all stand on their own. They're all, again, first one, horror comedy at its best. One of my favorite movies of all time. The part 2 is just campy zombie like horror. Much have darker aspects in that one, I think, though it kind of like gets overshadowed by all the campy and comedic aspects of that film. But this one is a bit more darker, and I appreciate it, and I think it's great. And I think that's one that I need to personally now add to my collection. But yeah, definitely check out Return of the Living Dead Part 3. I don't remember the next films that come after that as far as like in the franchise. I know those weren't that good. Don't Rave to the Grave is one of them. Like that's just sci-fi schlock nonsense, from what I remember. But again, definitely check out this movie, and we'll see you next time on our next horror review for 31 Days of Horror. We appreciate you watching, and we'll see you next time.